This year marks the 80th anniversary of the United Nations and the system built around it. And yet, as we can all see, this international order that has been built after the Second World War has been undergoing tremendous pressure test, if I can put it this way. Against this backdrop, the international community has been looking for consensus, has been looking to find ways to deal with the growing uncertainties. And China most recently proposed one more initiative to the international community. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, which is the Global Governance Initiative proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping. It emphasizes sovereign equality, it emphasizes international rule of law, multilateralism, people-centered development, and a focus on real results, on pragmatism. In this context, what's going to be the role of media? How can media help fill in the deficit in global governance? And what can we do more when we put our efforts together? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this very special edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin, coming to you from Xi'an, the ancient capital of northwest China's Shanxi province. I'm so delighted to be joined on the set by a line of extremely impressive speakers from different parts of the world. They are Adrian Wells, Managing Director of INEX, Ahmed Al-Alawi, Editor-in-Chief of Al-Ain News, Irfan Junaidi, Editor-in-Chief of Antara News Agency from Indonesia, Leonardo Atuch, Founder and CEO of Brazil 247, and last but not least, Najib Guya, CEO of Media City Mauritius and Global Affairs TV Network. Gentlemen, the warmest welcome to all of you. So, I'm going to throw one common question to all of you, and then I'll come to you for some individual follow-ups. The overall question, of course, is how do we fill the gap and the deficit in terms of global governance? And because China recently proposed this GDI, so people are talking about it. What is your view? What is the state of global governance at this moment and the role of media? Mr. Wells, may I start with you? How do you look at the current state of global governance and the role of the media in this very changing, very much shifting global landscape?
Well, thank you. Speaking as a media person and from the global north, so I feel a little bit ganged up upon here in the meeting of the global south. But it's great that we have this new initiative because things are not good. We have the institutions which were all built after the Second World War, United Nations, various other treaties which, of course, are meant to protect all of our freedoms and security and territorial integrity. And yet, whilst we have those institutions, we don't really have a lot of fantastic performance from those institutions, I think, at the moment. I mean, if you just look at what we have going on right now, we have just had a really horrific 2 years of war and conflict in Gaza, which is still not secure. We've got a really terrible situation in the Sudan with a militia group causing all kinds of mayhem in the south of the country. We've had conflicts in Myanmar and other conflicts which we could also get into. And in the face of those activities, we've got some very strong press releases from the institutions, but really not much action to do anything about them. And I think, speaking as a media person, really our role in this, traditionally what we would normally have said is that the media's role is that sunlight is the best disinfectant, as we say. It's our job really to shine a light on these conflicts so that other people in authority, whether that's other governments or institutions, can then be spurred on to do something about it. And really, I'm not sure that this phrase that we've had in the past about sunlight being the best disinfectant really holds much water now, because...
Sorry, which sentence?
Sunlight is the best disinfectant. The idea that, if you can highlight problems, if you can report from the field, if you can really show what is happening to people, then something will be done. And it's the something will be done bit that we're missing. maybe our partners from the Global South can do a better job than we've been doing from the Global North.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're here. And good that we have you here, because we didn't want to target the Global North. We want to engage the Global North, but we want to pull in the energy and the thinking, the ideas from the Global South. Let me go to Mr. Alawi. From your perspective, from the Arab countries' perspective, how do you look at the Global Governance Initiative? And do you think the media can play a more proactive role in terms of not just reporting on global governance stories, but also play a bigger role in helping change things maybe?
أولاً أنا سعيد جداً بتواجدي معكم. طبعاً مثل ما ذكر.
I'm very glad to attend today's forum. And just as the host and the guest just said, and at the current world, there are a lot of the crisis, conflicts, and hostile issues going on. And we talk about the GGI, and the Global Governance Initiative is a very important initiative and can reshape the global governance landscape and also make the world more just, fair, and transparent. It emphasizes on the diversification of civilization, mutual understanding. These are very important principles that actually allowed us to build our current world and society. In UAE, we also have very vivid cases in line with the Global Governance Initiative. We also very much emphasize on social harmony, cultural diversification, and also equality and justice. Right now in UAE, people can work and live together in a harmonious way. I believe media can play a very important role in this process. It can emphasize our identity, our citizenship, and also emphasize on equality and also that mutual understanding and reconciliation among different religions. And the UAE also attached great importance to the overseas compatriots living in the UAE. We believe that the Global Governance Initiative is an initiative with great prospects. It's a very promising initiative that can enhance people-to-people understanding.
Thank you, Mr. Alawi. I see, and you see immediately when we sit down and talk about our perspective, we start to learn more about this world, which is extremely helpful. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's move on to our next speaker, Mr. Ihan Junaidi from Indonesia. I understand you probably have very similar slightly similar situation in Indonesia. You have a very big population, 285 million, and also multicultural, multi-ethnicity. What is Indonesia's thinking in terms of global governance reform and improvement? Have you made any concrete feedback to the proposal that China has made, and why?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our experience to deal with this kind of issues. Actually, I'm in Indonesia with more than 250 million populations. The keyword about social and public centers, injustice and equality is also something very important to spread out, and this voice is also become our concerns. And today we can see that imbalance narrative information in the words is really happens. So I think this initiative is very important for us to make the stories and information in the words become more balanced between global south and global north. It's not like a dichotomic side that we should discuss here, but I think imbalances is our concern here to be discussed. So this moment is very important for us to not only strengthen our collaborations, but to do the same action and to make and build our same vision in the future to make this global governance become more equal, become more balanced. My friends, my colleagues, Mr. Wells and Alawi says that it's important of media to play the role, to build good narratives, positive narratives about anything happens in Global South. Because if we see at the moment there is a real double standards, things happens, and we have to do the best to against this kind of situations. I think media is playing a very important role to build good and positive narratives in against the imbalance and double standards situations. Thank you, Mr. Lin.
Thank you, Mr. Junaidi. Yeah, you raised very important keywords, very important challenges. I hope in this very limited time we can shed some light in probably where to go. I want to go to Mr. Artush from the Brazilian perspective. Brazil, also a very important country in the Global South, part of the BRIC, part of, the very strong aspiration for global governance reform. But we are faced with challenges, for instance, AI, right? New technology. With the AI charging ahead, are Global South countries being at a greater disadvantage or not in terms of building the balance in global narrative?
Well, thanks. It's very good to see you face to face because we were together 2 weeks ago online and it was 2 a.m. in Brazil, but now it's much better. Well, I think AI is not a risk for our countries, and I like to see AI, as President Xi Jinping says, as a common good for humanity. By coincidence, here in China this time, this is my fourth visit to China, we signed an MOU with a Chinese company about AI. And it was about, AI for translation and also for journalism. And the intention in the future is to create an AI lab for journalism. And just after this, I opened discussions with public universities in Brazil and also institutions that might be interested in this. Well, I also believe, I agree with all my colleagues about the importance of GDI. I would say also that Brazilian foreign policy is very similar to the Chinese foreign policy if you take the statements from our minister and also from Celso Amorim, who was the former minister. It's almost like Brazil and China were writing the same documents, the same papers, the same statements on many issues. Brazil is hosting this week the COP30. It's very important to say that. China has a very big representation there. And we have the same goals, to have a more sustainable development, fairer world situation. And GDI is arriving in the right time because the old order is collapsing. And that I just would like to add that I'm afraid that Latin America could be at risk and become the new battlefield in this law of the jungle, especially when we see what's going on in Venezuela. So I would like to raise this concern also.
I think that's great that we have Latin American voices today and also engaged in part of the collaboration mechanism. Unfortunately, we're speaking English, which, there is a slight language barrier. I don't know how strong, but that seems to be a factor. But I'm sure our messages can reach them. Another very important area is, of course, African countries. And I go to Mr. Goya. I understand you're developing a broadcasting center dedicated to Africa. So underrepresentation in the global governance picture is a long topic, right? It's a time-honored topic, and there has been changes, but not as much as people wish to see it. So how do you look at the significance and the timing of China's GGI, and what can media do more in order to make some real changes?
Oui, absolument. Moi, je pense que ça répond au contexte actuelle, il est clair que depuis des décennies, il y a un déséquilibre dans l'ordre de l'information mondiale.
For years in the international order, I think the global South really need to do a lot in order to catch up with the global North so that we can have better communication, we can create a better balance, whether it is a balance within the global South or between the global South and the global North. Now, I think for all these initiatives that were proposed, they provide us with a lot of possibilities to really remove the gap so that we can express how we understand the world today and also our analysis of the situation in the world and really translate our analysis into answers and actions. And please allow me to introduce our new media project for the future because it is also in line with the spirit of today's event. This All Africa TV network, it can improve the connectivity between Africa and the world. Our hope is that the media of the Global South can really go beyond the national boundaries. We can report information of the world and bring the world's information back to the Global South nations. We rarely see initiatives like this where they would like to report information of the Global North. Usually it is the Global North who reports the information of the Global South. Therefore, our ambition is to report the information of this world in a different way. And we also use the Global South's perspective to tell the stories of other places in the world. So this is what we want to do now. In the past few years, has been our efforts.
My guest here, because we're very limited time, I will throw one more question, and I'll appreciate you to give me the most honest, direct answers so that we can really accelerate some action, maybe some real changes. It is difficult to balance that narrative, right? We are the majority of the world. We contribute more to the global economy at this stage. Well, I'm talking about the Global South. And yet there is a dominance, let's admit it, of Western media narrative because you have been there. It's a game you invented. So how is the Global North, media from the Global North, going to react to the collective rise of voices from the Global South? Is it going to be more difficult for our voices to be amplified? How do you look at what we're doing here?
Well,
They're not going to be very happy, or?
There's a space that's been created because I think one of the challenges for Global North media is that much of it, whether it's publicly funded or commercially funded, is struggling a bit in terms of its funding models and its business models, and that means one of the most expensive things that traditionally Global North media has done is to have very strong international reporting lineups. And as we all know in this room, keeping foreign correspondents based abroad in different places around the world is a very expensive thing to do. And so that means that very few organizations, okay, yes, maybe CNN, maybe the New York Times, maybe the BBC, are still managing to do that job. But very many other organizations have left the playing field. And so it does leave a gap, really, for Global South media from whichever country you'd like to mention to inhabit that space. And I think one of the interesting things about AI is that rather like with mobile technology did in Africa, Africa was a very early adopter of mobile technologies and in a way didn't have to go through the period of transition of having terrestrial TV and aerials and cord cutting and all the rest of it. It jumped straight to mobile. So maybe there's an opportunity with AI, this new technological revolution that we have in our industry for media from the Global South to jump ahead in some aspects of other organizations which are still tied to the legacy.
Are the viewers and audiences in the Global North looking for information more from the South? Are they aware that it could be in their interest?
No.
That's the problem.
I don't think they are.
That's why even Sunshine won't help.
I don't think they are. But if they're shown content and those stories are presented to them, and if the message is good and clear, then let's hope that is something that can take root and actually, build stronger.
Mr. Junaidi, let me go to you. To talk about, global governance stories is not a very profitable business, can I put it this way? If you people love entertainment, people love good food, people love fashion, people love love stories. They want to have their feet up and forget about the troubles in the world. And yet, when you talk about global governance gap, it is something important, but not necessarily very entertaining. How do you overcome that challenge?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Actually, there is a 4 function of the press. One of the function is to entertain, other than to educate, to persuade, to communicate. One function is to entertain. And we really usually forget about this kind of function. So entertainment information that you mentioned is something important for us to build. It's not only mean that entertainment information is only about the showbiz, about the music, about the sport, something like that. But every information actually can be covered by the something entertains. Because if we see at the present moments, there is important change of the way to consume of information, especially in the new generation. They really enjoy the information that's entertain them. And also, something that we have to be noticed, that they not much consume anymore the information from the media, but they usually use the social media to consume the information. I think it's something very serious for us to overcome. How to invite them again, come to the media, to consume the great, valid, the truth informations other than the social media. It's not easy actually.
Do you think it's doable at all?
I don't know the answer. Is it possible or not possible? It depends on our commitment to do the same action. If we can do together, hand in hand, and maybe we can also do something great inside the social media with our valid informations, I think it will be a new color of information that they can consume other than toxic information that our colleagues mentioned before.
Okay. Well, it's going to be challenging because it's very difficult to bring kids away from their cell phones and come back to TV, come back to newspaper. It's probably not going to happen.
It's our homework that we have to overcome.
Yeah, we have to think differently, maybe.
Yes.
Open up our imagination. Mr. Atush, what's the idea of 247, for instance? You start this organization. You must want to make some change. How do you plan to do it? And I'm sure, coming from Brazil, you want greater equality, greater governance, greater voice for Global South, more engagement with the children. What is your number one secret formula or that you believe in, can I ask?
Well, we do not have a secret formula, but I think we should share more and more content with Global South media. I wouldn't say that we should be concerned about the Global North. We should replace their information to our information. And I also believe that in countries in Latin America, we have a bigger problem because it's not the narratives that come from abroad. It's also the local narratives because we have a system of media private ownership where media is controlled by financial billionaires, especially recently. And in this case, this is creating a situation of a lot of conflict, polarization in our societies. And I think the solution, not in my case, but globally, is to learn more about the countries where the system is more concentrated in public communication, public information. therefore, is to create public consensus and also to avoid social divisions, as we have nowadays in countries like Brazil and many other countries in Latin America. So basically, for me, in my special case, this is an opportunity because we have the counter-narrative for this situation. So there is a market opportunity for my media that, was also, I was only able to create it because of the new technologies. So when we talk about AI, new technologies, I always see that as an opportunity, more than a risk. But I'm thinking in the country situation, so we need to discuss more how important it is to have responsible and public communication.
Responsible and public communication, yeah. Coming from China, it's very interesting to find out about your perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Adrian Wells, Managing Director of EMEX, Ahmed Al-Alawi, Editor-in-Chief of Al-I News, Irfan Junaidi, Editor-in-Chief of Antara News Agency, Leonardo Artush, Founder and CEO of Brazil 247, and Najib Guya, CEO of Media City Mauritius and Global Africa TV Network. Thank you so much. And with that, we come to the end of this special edition of The Point with me, Li Xin, coming to you from Xi'an. As usual, you can follow me on Facebook and X using the handle Li Xin in Beijing. On behalf of the whole team, thank you for watching. You've got The Point.